Welcome to the Irish Occupational Therapy podcast, hosted by me, Jen Trechek.
And me, Irene Rutledge.
This podcast is dedicated to exploring the world of occupational therapy, sharing the latest research and techniques and providing insights into the many ways that occupational therapy can help people of all ages live more fulfilling and meaningful lives.
Whether you are a practicing occupational therapist, a student of occupational therapy, or simply curious about this fascinating field, this podcast is for you. We'll be interviewing experts in the field, sharing stories from the front lines of occupational therapy practice, and providing tips and advice for anyone looking to get the most out of their therapy.
So sit back, relax, and join us on this exciting journey into the world of occupational therapy in Ireland.
Welcome back, podcast listeners. Get ready for another mind-expanding episode of the Irish Occupational Therapy podcast. Today, we're exploring one person's extraordinary journey from psychosis to empowerment. Psychosis refers to a mental state where a person's thoughts, perceptions, and emotions become altered, making it difficult for them to distinguish between what is real and what is not. During a psychotic episode, someone may experience hallucinations, which means they see, hear, or feel things that are not actually present. Or they might have delusions, which are strongly held beliefs that are not based on reality. Understandably, this can also involve feelings of depression and anxiety.
It's important to note that experiencing psychosis can be distressing and confusing for the individual going through it. However, with proper treatment, support, and therapy, many people are able to manage their symptoms and lead fulfilling lives. Joining us today is a truly remarkable guest who embodies this transformative journey to recovery. Allow us to introduce you to John O'Brien, a gifted photographer, recently engaged and on the brink of fulfilling a lifelong dream of owning a house. We're rewinding the tape a little bit and talking to John about his experience of working with an occupational therapist in his local community mental health team. Hi, John O'Brien. You're so welcome to the Irish Occupational Therapy podcast. We're really excited to have you with us.
Thanks very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. And so you kind of came to our attention. You were on a show called Keeping Ireland Alive, which is about the HSC services. And through that kind of spoke about your experience as somebody who's used HSC services. Would you just give us a little bit of background about yourself and your kind of story, if that's okay?
Yeah. I kind of with my mental health, I suppose. Secondary school, I kind of started to struggle day to day in myself and other things, confidence and like anxiety levels were kind of very high, and I was back and forth to my GP, different medicines, that kind of thing, nothing like antidepressants or anything like that, just kind of improve my mood, and it got quite bad. I think it was I was out of school and I started attending a charity service, and they helped me twice, and it was on the second time and sitting and talking with them, the counsellor I was talking to snagged that there was something a little bit more than just maybe anxiety, depression, that kind of thing, and she referred me straight away to go to Tala, and then from Tala I met with their psychiatrist there, and I was in Ballyfermot then for the best part of 4 years, where they had they diagnosed me more so with psychosis than just it was the first time it was said to me that depression and anxiety was a symptom of what I was going through. It wasn't the actual overall what I was going through. So I was introduced. I'd never even heard of the words that I was being told at that stage, and I was probably 10 years into my journey at that stage, kind of with around it, and it was there where the first time occupational therapy was mentioned to me, and it was I had no clue what it entailed or what it was about, and that's kind of
All those words, and there's so much
Yeah,
jargon, isn't there, around mental health? And even the term psychosis, I think when people hear it, it can sound very scary. But that's, it's significant, but it's absolutely manageable. Would you mind just would it be okay to just tell us your understanding of psychosis?
yeah, psychosis. I didn't understand psychosis at that time. What I did, of course, I suppose a lot of people did for whatever reason, understood schizophrenia, that kind of thing. And I had, it was it was the voices and the kind of decisions that I was making, well, I thought at least I was making, or the positions I was putting myself in. I didn't realize there was kind of, for me in any way, kind of outside forces, I suppose, that was dictating my day-to-day life, isolating me from others, but isolating me from me. And the show, like there's we suffer with depression, we suffer with anxiety, but for some people they might think that's all they're suffering with, whereas that might just be one or two symptoms of what it is they're actually going through. And that it might trigger something in them, or a family member, or something, to investigate it more and see, is there more going on for that person.
Because the earlier you can get that kind of right idea of what's happening, the quicker you can get the right support.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the kind of routines and habits that you'd kind of fallen into were
Oh,
maybe unhelpful. And
oh,
that's where OT can come in a little bit in terms of helping people change those, right?
oh yeah, big time. And like, challenge them, because it was, I was resistant to it, because some things that I thought were comfortable and I'm happy to keep doing it, they weren't good for me, and isolate myself. I still am a creature of habit, and that, like, I still like my, as we all do, being by ourselves, but I used to want to do it day in, day out, just isolate and live inside my own head and just be one. And I knew that just wasn't good. But at early on, I was willing to challenge that. Like, I didn't want to say goodbye to that, because being around people, like, made me uncomfortable.
John, you mentioned occupational therapy. What were your first impressions of the occupational therapist and the service that they were providing?
Oh well, first off, like, the loveliest person. It became very comfortable very quick, and the whole thing was, what do I want to do? What do you need to do? What, like, it puts the onus on you, again, to challenge yourself. And there was things that I don't think I would have done, and I would have, taken the step to go and do, if I hadn't have been with the OT. And talking, like, and it was always very easygoing conversations. It never felt clinical, or it was always just one-to-one talking. And if you could achieve loads in one session, and you think you've achieved nothing in another, but you have, because it's all stepping stones. It was all work towards something. Stuff that I do now, only talking to my fiance, is like, I do it subconsciously now, whereas back then I had to work really, really hard to keep it up, keep, the challenges that I had to overcome. You just do it. It's all second nature now.
Do you mind sharing some of those things that you worked on with the occupational
Yeah,
therapist, John?
the biggest one for me was money management. Like me money. The I used to. It was like a coping thing as well. I used to go in and buy up figurines, toys, games. What, like, just, it was, I don't know, like, it was into town, and I used to enjoy it. It was more so buying them than buying things I didn't need, because for me, it was great spending money, going, getting enjoyable things, grabbing, and then by the end of it, you found yourself in so many situations where you needed to be getting stuff that you had to get, and you had no money in your account. And it was budgeting my money, and looking after my money was a massive thing. Because now I'm probably too regimental with it, but like, it's crazy how it's gone from one extreme to the other. And again, the simple things of budgeting, keeping an eye, allocating your money for certain things, making sure that there's a certain amount of money in your account at the end of the week, slowly brought me on to where, like, back then, saving for a house could have never even fathomed it. Didn't think I'd ever have that amount of and now we're doing it. Like, we reached milestones there last week, and it's pure crazy, really is. And I don't know how many wallets I've got in my bank account.
John, well done. That is a
Yeah.
huge achievement, a life skill that you have achieved.
Oh, it's
And
thinking about next year, thinking about what will you do with it next year, or thinking about, you know, Christmas or whatever it might be. Just straight away make a wallet, and then
You'll have to call us for the house party.
yeah. The furniture, the way I don't know how many screenshots we've got of. I think there'll be 50 houses inside our one house when we eventually get it.
And in terms of what you were doing with the OT, were you meeting them on a weekly basis, John, or was it? Yeah.
It started. It was sometimes it was twice a week in the earlier days of it. It was twice a week, and then it went to one day a week. And then if I felt I was taking took a step back, again it would go to 2 weeks. It was very, very flexible.
So it adapted to kind of where you were at in terms of your mood.
Yeah.
But you said at times was challenging, that the OT pushed you a little bit.
Yeah, big time push. Yeah.
Can you give us any examples of that?
Yeah, yeah. Like, I'd always have the idea. I'd, like, you know, say I went to college through occupational therapy, and I'd always like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Like, I was talking to my sisters or whatever, I'm going to do it. No, I am going to do it. And the minute the conversation started, I'd know full well in my head, I'm not going to do it. Like, you know, but it got me through that conversation, you know, and before it, photography was always, I love photography, because again, it was more escapism. I'd go to Queen's Park or into town, take pictures of people, trees, scenery, whatever it might have been. And with my OT was able to connect the two, a passion, and she searched through websites there for me, colleges there for me, which one was the best fit, which one was the most affordable, which one, you know, everything, to sending emails with me. Because you know, the thing of me sending I'd sit over an email for days, and I just never did it. Never got around to doing it. But yeah, I got into a PTAC level 5 and 6 through yeah.
I think that's one of the nice things about OT is doing with somebody, because, you know, you can set goals and say go and do it, but it can be really hard to have the motivation to do that. Whereas an OT can kind of do it with you, alongside you, go with you to the college if you need that to really help you over that motivation slump.
That was the big challenge. That was a big challenge for me, because it wasn't where you were learning something, or you were told something, or talking about something, and we went away, you went home, and it was, you were set the path to do it. Like, you go in, you talk about it, and before you know it, you're doing it there and then. So you haven't got that the time to breathe, to think, no, you know what, I don't want that social interaction. I don't want to have to, because you did. And now I look back at it, and it was fantastic. You know, the opportunity that I got with that college, the people I met through that college, you know, was just life changing. And
turned into a career for you.
Yeah. It's like everything with photography. We all think that we're going to be the next National Geographic photographer, or you know, whatever it might be. But I got work out of it. I have cameras in my hand now, and I've gone more so away from digital and gone back to instant or analog. But I've always had a camera in my hand since. I've gotten to take photos at friends' weddings and be their photographer for them on the day, which was a great experience.
When did you finish college?
I finished college, if I could, don't quote me on the date. I think I finished, it was a few years back now. I think it was more than 5, and anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've been working ever since?
I've been working ever since. I got back into the workplace. I first got back into, I went again through OT. I went and done voluntary work. I done voluntary work in Dublin Castle. It was a gallery there in Dublin Castle, and they just needed people to walk the gallery floor, to be there for when people were coming in to visit. And then I got back into work then after college.
And was all the occupational therapy you did one-to-one, or did you do any groups?
No, all one-to-one. All one-to-one, yeah.
And was it the same OT, or did you work with a number of different OTs, John?
I had the one OT through the whole thing. I keep on wanting to say her name, but I don't know whether. But I work with the same OT the whole time.
Go on, give her a shout out.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Celebrate.
Bridget in Ballyfermot Mental Health, and
Bridget is amazing.
Well done to Bridget.
She was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I work with Bridget, and then alongside Bridget, I work with John. Then John helped me with the cognitive behavioural therapy, and then I would work with Bridget then alongside that with the OT.
So there was a number of different, because in mental health teams, there's usually lots of different professionals and different people involved. And it sounds like you had a few different disciplines. Was your OT coordinating with the other people? Was there crossover?
Yeah,
how was that all managed?
It was all very, Bridget would know what state of mind or humour I was in, because she would be working very closely with John, and the same back to Bridget. It was they always knew. Sometimes talked together with the two of them together. I know, like, I was very lucky, very lucky with the help that I did get. I got family therapy alongside to help my family understand what was going on, what had been going on. So I was from getting into Ballyfermot, I know I was extremely lucky with the help that I did get.
That must have been really helpful for your family, because it can be so confusing for families to know, and sometimes they're not always included in treatment plans or in support. So to have kind of direct support is really helpful.
Oh yeah. It helped. Some things that I didn't have to say were said for me, and then it kind of again dropped the shoulders, and then you feel comfortable that everyone knows what's going on. You can have a conversation, and it was great for everybody else in the family. I got to talk, and we had it was a whole bonding family experience. It was brilliant.
Because mental health doesn't just affect one person; it affects whole. Everyone around that person as well is impacted, and everybody around you as an individual, for all of us, have a role to play in our mental health as well. And it's all interconnected, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and it takes the bit of guilt that's there, because your family are doing their absolute best to keep you on your feet at the same time they're living their lives, and then for someone to come in and just to take the burden, explain an awful lot of things, what's going on, and like I said, help my family chat away whatever it is that they wanted to. They can chat as well. It was brilliant, and it was once a week where the entire family was in the same room together. All
Amazing.
Together, you know what I mean? And we're a big family, so it does be hard to get us all together. Week to week.
Probably hard to shut you all up as well. The sessions must have gone on.
Yeah. You know you come from a big family, because you're all very, very loud.
John, if there was anyone listening into this podcast who's on a similar journey, would you give them any advice on engaging with a mental health OT?
Yeah, embrace it. If the opportunity is there for you, take it, and go in with an open mind, and go be ready to challenge yourself. Is the biggest thing I took away from it is challenging myself, and challenging what I thought was the norm.
Mm-hmm. So stepping outside of your comfort zone. Yeah.
It was and realizing that what it is that they're doing for you is for the betterment of you. It's and like that, everybody's different, so the betterment for me would be different for somebody else. It's not a one size fits all. I felt, and anyway, that what was being done for me was done specifically for me.
That's so important. It's not a cut and paste job. Everyone follows the same program. It's very much about you and your needs.
Oh yeah, I always felt it was very personal for my OT as it was for me. Like it wasn't just tick boxes and then onto another person. Never. I loved going up. I loved going up to Ballyfermot. It was actually very, very difficult saying goodbye to it, because of how close I'd come with everybody in there.
I was going to ask, are you still in touch with your OT?
The last time I was in touch was during COVID. was chatting to John, and then obviously I would be in monthly for clinics, and that stopped. It was phone calls, but I do plan. I'm going to have to do it now before the pod comes out. I do plan to go up to because obviously now where I am in my life, I'm engaged now, and again, I don't think I ever would have gotten to that stage, if it hadn't have been for those people in Ballyfermot. So I do plan on going back up, whether it be just a thank you card or if they're there to have a chat away to them. Like,
you mentioned being engaged, John. Tell us a wee bit more about your future aspirations and what lies ahead in the next year or two.
Completely different. So we got engaged last November.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much. In Dublin, and we started saving before the engagement. Well, at least we tried to, and then obviously COVID happened, so that put the kibosh on that. But we've been saving extremely hard now, for the last year and a half. So by the end of the summer, it's out of our hands and it's in the hands of the powers that be, whether it be the banks or that. And we hope to just find a house, big or little, falling
your
down
space.
on us. Yeah, just to call our own,
Yeah.
And then we said we planned the wedding then after getting the house.
Amazing.
Lovely. Mm-hmm.
And are there things that you still do or that you need to do to support your mental health and your well-being when you're juggling these different things?
Yeah. It's I had to check in with myself big time on during COVID, and that came through photography. That came an old lecturer of mine from the college got involved with a project with him on Instagram, just take photos daily, and it was again dealing with the isolation, because you were you were doing it of your own accord. Now you're back in it because you have to, kind of. And we used to have movie nights. Myself and my partner Carly would have movie nights where I press play on the DVD over here, and she pressed play on the DVD over the other side of the city, and watch movies together. It was all those things where I look back. If I was in isolation, that was it. I wanted to be in isolation. I didn't want to be. I'd take that opportunity to be by myself for as long as possible. I wouldn't have never been reaching out to get involved in things or to look after your mental health.
Stay connected, yeah.
Yeah, being active and looking for things to do, to still, and of course with Carly, like, I wanted to be, obviously didn't want to be separated for as long as we were, but just the way it was. We found ways to stay connected.
Absolutely, lots of learning, and it sounds like it's so important for all of us to check in and kind of see how we're doing regularly and keep that connection going.
Yeah, it was revisiting things as well, that I like. Even with the photography, I'd stopped taking pictures for the sake of taking pictures, and I fancied myself as a bit of a filmmaker during COVID. I went and made videos around the village I'm living in. It was completely empty, just taking walks around and documenting it, and it just for the fun of it, just for the love of it. And I've gotten into kind of more older styles of photography now since then, and so again, it's just branching off, just keeping interest, and which
it's
I
evolving.
Never. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The power of doing as well, isn't it? When you have something to do or to focus on, it can really help.
Yeah, and I get very focused now. I don't know whether for better or for worse. I get very focused on things, and I love the challenge of certain things and the achievement when you finish it. Or
that's a true occupation, being in a state of flow, isn't it?
Yeah,
John. And
keep going.
Yeah, so therapeutic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Your story is inspirational, John. It's great to meet somebody who has been through so much and kind of come out the other end and has a really fantastic quality of life, and really doing some fantastic things. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
No
I really
problem
appreciate it.
No worries at all.
If there was one thing that you could say to OTs in terms of what people who attend an OT service might need, is there any advice you would give to the occupational therapy profession?
Oh God, what advice I'd give to
Apart
I
from
know
be like
I know
Bridget.
with Bridget, yeah, and I know Bridget had an awful lot of this, but it was patience. I know for me it would have been patience, because I'm 100% sure that I've walked out of meetings or sessions with Bridget, and I've come back in the next session and I hadn't done what I said I would, or and I'd say it would be it's patience to in the early days for me. I know Bridget needed to have patience with me, because I did chance my arm and tried to slow the roll. I know I did,
So stick with it.
Yeah, because the proof is it's there to see at the end. I know that, again, repeat myself, I wouldn't have achieved things if I hadn't have been in OT.
That's
Thank
brilliant, John. Thank you so much for being so generous, sharing your story, and it is going to help lots of people. It'll be inspirational for occupational therapists, but also maybe other people listening as well, and to give them hope.
The job that OTs do, it can, and again, with mental health, and especially in Ireland, we it feels like we were only introduced to depression and anxiety in recent years. Even though that those things have been around since the year dot, I don't think we've been introduced to OTs enough. I don't think enough people know that OTs. And again, I know, again, I was very lucky, because people didn't know about cognitive behavior therapy, and I'm like, well, yeah, but again, I feel very lucky that I did know what it was, and in the same sense, I feel very lucky that I know what OT is, because if people knew what it was and what they can get help with, you're carrying around, so it's bad enough that you're not feeling great in yourself, but now you're dragging around the kind of, you feel like you're underachieving as well. Some people that they don't get the task, big or little, done in a day that they said to themselves they were going to get done. And then on top of that, they're feeling bad in general, or not feeling well in themselves in general, that they've got that pit in their stomach that they're struggling with already. If they knew that OTs were there to work seamlessly alongside the nursing aspect of it, and the cognitive behavioral therapy end of it, and even just counselling in general, the two prop each other up. For me, one didn't work without the other.
That is so great to hear. We definitely need more OTs in mental health, and for more people to shout for it, don't we?
I'll shout it for you, no problem whatsoever.
Thank you. You
Thanks,
can be our poster
John.
child. Thank you so much. John, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
That's all for today's episode on the Irish Occupational Therapy podcast. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and found it informative and engaging. If you've any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. You can email us at irishotpodcast@gmail.com or connect on Instagram or Facebook.
And remember to subscribe to our podcast so that you never miss an episode. If you found this episode helpful, please leave us a review on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback is important and helps us to improve the show, so please do leave it. Thank you for listening to the Irish Occupational Therapy podcast, hosted by myself, Jen Trachak.
And myself, Aileen Rutledge.
We look forward to sharing more insights and knowledge with you in future episodes. Until then, take care.